Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Seeking Center Community Monday update. Each week, we'll bring you the latest spiritual info so that you can align, be inspired, and make the most of the energy all around you. This week, we're with one of our soul sisters, tarot therapist Michelle Nolan, to get a read on what the next few weeks may have in store for you. Michelle has an undeniable and clear connection to spirit, and she has her own unique way of using tarot. As we can feel, the energy is bonkers. Michelle is going to give us her take on the energy for today through the end of March and into the beginning of April for all of us. So let's get going because I know there's so much to discuss. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Robin. Hi,
So
Karen.
good to see you.
So
Yes.
good to see both of you. I'm happy to be here.
Every single time you show up, Michelle, you blow our minds.
It blows my
Drop it
mind
in.
too. I'm just channeling not my own ideas, but I think the collectives. It blows my mind too.
And you were saying when we got on, you started to say that we did a check-in for 2025 at the beginning of the year, and you said the energy is tracking.
It is tracking like hardcore. I had to actually go back and listen to that recording again, which I would encourage anyone to do that. I think the big energy that I was picking up that was consistent is, and what was very apparent in that year-long read, was there were these big milestones of energy that was happening almost per quarter. So the first quarter had this Ten of Swords energy, which was all about significant, I'll be honest, like painful stuff, like things that were, look at the LA fires, the things that were getting literally burnt down. I'm not physically speaking, but also energetically speaking, things that were really hard for people to detach from and to face the reality that things are completely over. So that could have been an environment, a relationship, a job, an idea, a pattern, whatever it is. It was a very harsh energy, very internal at the beginning of the year. And then it moved very quickly. When I say milestone, it moved really quickly to this Ten of Cups energy starting at the end of March, because we were just looking into quarters, right? The Ten of Cups being this massive leap from a Ten of Swords to a Ten of Cups in tarot. That's an odd leap, but it was a very fast, almost portal push forward, which seemed to align. And I didn't really look at the astrology beforehand. I know this is Stevie's realm, but with the portal energy that's happening right now with the eclipses, and that really lined up, because if we are aligning with that energy, that Ten of Cups into this next quarter is really talking about getting into the heart space of feeling the potential of not just success, but the potential of manifesting something good in your life. And the idea that holistically we have to send out the vibration of happy, send out the vibration of joy, send out the vibration and the feeling of fulfillment to actually attract that energy. So that leap, that milestone, I'm feeling it for sure in this March. Like I was definitely a hermit for the first couple months. Just woe is me. What am I doing this year? Blah, blah, blah. And then March just hit and it's very refreshing. That Ten of Cups was a big jump. And then the third quarter, it went, and again, very significant, to the Ten of Pentacles, which if we start Ten of Swords ending, Ten of Cups, feelings. And then the third Ten of Pentacles is the reality in your 3D, the actual abundance or what you've manifested, the success, the things around you that you've been trying to accomplish or get to in the real world, not in the vibrational energy, but in showing up in the 3D. So the big milestones there was really significant to me. So I'm hoping that kind of continues.
Thank you for refreshing our minds. I think that's really helpful as we now get a little more specific as to where we are now.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So being in that Ten of Cups energy, I think, and we'll see if that comes out. It'd be cool if it did.
It really will.
But it would be, can't promise anything. But I would say that people have asked me about that after listening to that podcast. And I've said, what do you really mean by that? And I'm like, your mindset is really important in the second quarter, being in the energy of thinking and believing something to be true. Thinking and believing you can attract what you want and what you need and what's going to make you happy. If you're believing that at a core level, that's actually what makes your reality real.
I'm going to do that.
It's very important. Mindset.
I'm going to do that.
Very
It actually
important.
aligns to Lizzie Cutler's energy alignment last night. So we're in March, and it was all about removing any obstacles in our way so that we can manifest. We can be more abundant in what we're looking to do and believe in.
Isn't this also Venus retrograde? Isn't that
Yes,
going
there's
on
a lot
right
of
now?
retrogrades
So
going on. I think Mercury
Retrograde just started March
just
15th.
started. Okay. A lot of retrogrades, eclipses. Think of March as being like a portal. Think of it that way. If
Yeah.
you are ready to jump, you can move very quickly to an elevated third quarter of the year. If you're not ready to jump and you don't get into that headspace of jumping, like jumping off a bridge, if you're like bungee jumping, if you're not in the right headspace to do that, then you will have some problems. You'll be frustrated.
All right, let's go.
Full belief at this point. So let's see if it matches up now. We're not really going through that quarter. We're just going to talk for the next 3 weeks-ish, right? Something around that energy. So I always like to set an intention. Spirit, please open the session for the collective, the Seeking Center Collective. And please give me clear and concise messages for what is you want to speak with them about today for these next 3 weeks. What should we be expecting to align with? And as always, we thank you for your guidance and your protection. I like to lay the cards out and then talk about it.
Yes.
Okay, just as we were talking about here, remember I told you that first quarter of the year was about the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords.
I have the chills.
you cannot make this up, people. I do too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is the past energy. So for me, this is I'm like how we're coming in right now, like in present, how we just were coming into this space right now. And we can apply this, and we're getting the Ten of Swords, Three of Wands, and the Justice card. Okay, we can apply this. What I'm seeing here is that if you did, coming from past energy, if you did release, okay, think of your life. What did you let go of in the last few months? What did you really do some hard thinking on and say, I got to change this pattern. I got to change this job. I got to change this relationship. I got to change this way of thinking. If you really did the hard work, the Three of Wands for the Justice card is telling me that here's some karma for you, everybody. You get a gift back. Now, it's in a waiting phase because when I get that Three of Wands energy, it's about we're anticipating the kind of reward for that. We're anticipating it. So there's a little bit of a lull if you look at it this way. And as we were just speaking when we came into this podcast about taking that leap, making that jump, really think about what that feels like to be standing, let's say, at the edge of a cliff, about to dive into some deep water that you're not really sure what's down there. There is some anticipation, there's some excitement, there's some fear, there's a whole mess and mix of emotions that goes with that. But if we already know we're jumping, we already know I'm going to jump in. The excitement should be what the enthusiasm should be is what the prevalent energy is. We're waiting to feel that burst of energy of joy. We're waiting to feel that adventure. We're waiting to feel the reward of the what's next. And let me start working on the what's next. So that's this past energy that I'm feeling. I like to pull, as you guys know, multiple decks just to get a little clarity if there's anything else in that. So the Ten of Swords is to the Devil card, which tells me very significantly, old is old and it's done. It's done. You can reframe it however you want. You can reframe the relationship. You can reframe the job. You can reframe the dynamics and the patterns you've tried to rationalize for yourself, but it's done. It's actually over. Okay. And if you think of the world at large and the environment at large and the collective, there's so much old leftover hanging stuff out there that we're obviously trying to get rid of. We're obviously trying to change, but it is more of a push to just see and frame that lens as that is just old news. That's old world. Okay. We don't need it anymore. It's not where we're headed. And it's really an important kind of aspect to look through that lens that it is holding you back and holding you down versus something that it's a comfort zone that you're attached to. So that idea is a really important thing coming into this eclipse energy, the portal energy of where we're getting pushed and shunted towards. So if we take that view, and obviously we're speaking about it, a lot of people could be trapped in the idea that I have to stay where I was. I can't move forward. I have to be in this relationship. I have to be in this job. I have to, the security of what I know and what I'm used to, I have to. And that is old thinking. If we're in that thinking, we are not in portal energy thinking. We are not in forward thinking. We are in old gripping of stuff that's comfortable and it's security, and that's really all it is. Okay. That is, I think, a big platform to launch from into where we are literally right now as we're moving forward. Okay. Because when I get the justice card, that is like your 5D self, the universal energy, the collective energy saying, cool guys, I'm glad that you are listening to what we've been saying and what we're talking about, where we want to go. We are ready to provide the reward for looking through that lens, for looking at the old through a lens of I don't need it. I'm scared and I'm not sure where I'm going, but I don't need it. So it's karmic justice. I like to always look at justice as a very karmic card. Because on the flip side, if we are not looking at it that way, we are just developing more karma and not in a good way, because we're holding on to a devil energy, which is meaning stuff that is dragging us down, not elevating us. Okay, so heavy and the path that I'm seeing, that how we came into. So where we are, where we're moving now, very present oriented energy. We have the 9 of Pentacles, the World, the Death card, and the 5 of Pentacles. Okay, this feels
I gotta let that sound scary.
Okay, but you got to think the 10 of Swords and the Death card are very similar. Okay, I know that sounds scary. People, there's 4 cards that people freak out about in tarot: the Death card, the Devil card, the Tower card, and that 10 of Swords. Now we just got 3, right?
It just matches the energy. Honestly, just
yes, it matches where we're coming from.
It does.
Right? And again, if we look at this as a fairness of balance, of universal energetic balance, birth, death is linked. And I always say this, we have to look at the contrast of things. We have to have the yin and yang of all energy. Energy is neutral. There is no good or bad.
That's right.
It is a movement and a flow. We cannot have light without dark. So what I'm feeling here with that Death card, that first part is about, with the 10 of Swords, is recognizing where the pain and the trauma is, recognizing where the old is, recognizing what's holding you back. It's the awareness. Ooh, this is sticky. Ooh, this kind of hurts, and this sucks. Where we are present now, coming into today, moving forward, we're saying, okay, Death card is, let's look at this as transformation. We're not looking at it as icky anymore. We're looking at it like what we want to transform here. And this is where I get the World card is also about endings, and the 5 of Pentacles. The biggest energy I'm feeling is we don't want to be spiritually alone. We don't want to be independent in our feeling disconnected to our spiritual self and the spiritual version of the collective and the spiritual energy at large. We don't want to feel that anymore. We don't want to feel disconnected. We don't want to feel isolated. We don't want to feel like I'm struggling with kind of figuring out not just my spiritual practices are, but what is my spiritual beliefs? What do I really fundamentally feel like is what grounds me outside of, I don't know, the real world securities of, let's say, money, job, family, friends, all that stuff. I don't want to feel disconnected anymore. So this is a very large call to action to understand that this transformation is to lead to growth, is to, like, I'm sick of not growing in a spiritual way that's actually foundational to connecting with others. That's a very big piece where we're trying to understand how our connection really works on a human level, how our connection, like what these vibrations, what does this mean to be a spiritual person? What does it mean to put out vibrations and to be able to not just receive them, but to give them back? What does it mean? So the connection here, I think, of doing spiritual work in a more independent, isolated way is starting to leave. Where community, if we think about that, like doing spiritual work together, that's a very big component here. We're trying to move to a place of not just connecting back to our spiritual self, but also understanding that everyone is spiritual. Everyone, not just the person that's sitting here on Speaking Center trying to do the work, not the person that is a guru in India that's preaching about mantras. That is not what we're talking about. Is every single human being on this planet is a spiritual being, and we are all connected to them.
That is
Everyone.
truth.
I've never heard anybody say that before, but I love that.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So important.
Because it's lonely. Spirituality is lonely. Doing the work internally is a lonely place, and you have to do that. It's required. But getting to a place now, I think where we're trying to head is, I feel like we're starting to have this understanding that, yes, I can work on myself. Yes, I can choose to do what I need to do on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also should be helping others. I also, if I'm either learning from someone and they're teaching me more, or if I'm guiding them to elevate themselves, that is a collective responsibility.
It makes me think actually of the telepathy tapes. And it makes me think that there's no coincidence that it came out last year, but it really has gained momentum leading into March 2025, which is where we're in. And this idea of it now being part of the collective, right? Of that sharing of energy, of recognizing there's more to see in people that we never even realized, even from one community that then links us to all, right? Like it's not just about one community, even though it starts out that way. So the idea, just what you're saying to me, even in our pop culture, there's that part even coming to the surface, and to the point of, I personally feel like many of us feel this is the time to be in community of seeking together. It's number one, way more fun. And
way more fun.
It's way more fun. And there's way more to learn when we do it together. There's way more to give and receive. It's both what you're saying. And so this idea of saying goodbye to that old shit, which we all feel personally and collectively, goodbye, and then welcoming in this new way of being. So I can just see that myself.
It's much easier to talk about spirituality in public and not feel weird. The fact that I'm even reading tarot for a collective bunch of people.
That's right. That's right.
Not that strange.
Not that weird.
The language of spirituality is becoming more acceptable. And I think that's a super important place to be, because not only like defining it, but also expanding it, that is way beyond just what we traditionally thought was spiritual, the science of it, all of that, the tech of it, the telepathy tapes you're talking about, the experiences of people that we never even knew that existed, autistic kids like that have been connecting like this for a while. So the vernacular, I think, is really important. So interesting. I'm getting this, both the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles in this, where we are right now, moving into these couple of weeks. That is very tangible energy of growth. That's very tangible energy of real world stuff. So if we're not talking about, and the Death card is the emotional energy of the King of Cups. The way I would read this is, I think everyone is a little bit tired of feeling their spirituality internally and not having the language to talk about it and to connect with other people about it. And how do we make it more apparent in a practice in real life? It's just part of who we are as a collective now. So it's taking that kind of heart space and that emotional space and intuitive space and bringing that to a pentacle energy, which is a grounded energy in the external. And then now we can plant those seeds and actually nurture them and grow them. That's the whole point of, I think, King and Queen of Pentacles. There is obviously a movement there with that King and Queen too, is I feel very controversial all the time with the masculine and feminine energies, because I'm a big believer in not downing on the masculine energy. I think it gets a very bad rap, and that we are always moving to this feminine energy. It requires both, just like yin and yang. But the King of Pentacles is the masculine energy of protection. Protecting that energy is a very important piece. Protecting the femininity and receptivity of the growth. There also needs a masculine energy of protection around that. So it's very much a coming together right now.
And it's a reminder for all of us, we are made of masculine and feminine. It doesn't matter what gender you are. The idea spiritually is, the hope is that you find the balance between both within you. It's, to your point, one's not better than another. I think that a lot of people who are beginner seekers haven't really heard that before because we aren't really taught about our masculine and feminine sides. We need both to function as a balanced human and soul in this world. It's important to
Right.
understand it.
That's an important part of the conversation, I think.
Yeah.
But the main part in this present energy is, I think, transforming our kind of inner intuitive space of spirituality and bringing that more into our 3D space. So for everybody that's listening, I think the question would be like, okay, how do I do that? What do I do? You do this one thing. You're on a podcast or you're listening to something that is making you conscious about your spirituality. I think whatever resonates with you is what works, right? So whether it's tarot, whether it's astrology, whether it's going and diving in to books, whether it is going to a class, anything that is actually making you conscious in your 3D life, that's considered to be a practice for you. And then incorporating that as a ritual, as a routine, that really just changes your mindset right away in your 3D world. That's very real world stuff there in where we are right now. And that shift, the death card, this is the heart of my reading
I can't
right
believe
now.
that.
The death card to the King of Cups. This is full on cycle of death rebirth. And it's the death rebirth cycle is purely that intuitive space of I know something and I know something's correct and I know I feel this part of myself and I know that makes sense that we're all one, but I don't really know what that means. So now we're shifting into a state of let me be curious about what that means and making that real.
Yeah, and I think when we look at what is going on all around us, it is forcing us in many ways to do that, to really look at people as souls. I love how we started off this conversation talking about we are all spiritual beings. It's that whole quote that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And if you can really remember that, it forces you to look and be born in that sense together, to look at things differently. How something may impact you, it impacts all.
And I think that Queen of Pentacles, why this is a step down from the King to the Queen, is the difference with her is she is like the spiritual mother. She's the Mother Earth. She is the warm, safe haven of come to me, lay your troubles down, and I will mend you. You can release with me and I will take it in and help you. That's what her energy is. So I think this call to action before we move into what's coming next is to first recognize the people in your life who are spiritually disconnected and have some grace for that and understand that you have to meet them where they are and not expect them to be better. You have to say, okay, I understand this is where you are at. And part of your loneliness and disconnection and maybe even anger is not coming from a place that's directed towards me. It's coming from a place of being disconnected to your spiritual self. I think it is really a space that's allowing us to recognize someone else's loneliness.
As the listener, trying to piece this all together, could you also say, I'm just thinking about this heart-centered time, right? Like we were also just talking about, this is the heart space, the 10 of Cups, right? So that's this time, which is all about heart space, the Venus retrograde energy that's going on. And the death card, could it be almost like a death of your belief system? Could people actually be going through a period of time where like all of their beliefs are up for question, right? And they might have to like really change their minds about something that they've been believing, or something may be happening in their lives that might have them questioning or relooking at their lives completely different than they
Karen,
did
you should do tarot.
No, I'm just a really good
but you're right. You're
Michelle.
dead on. And it's a very important point because the King of Pentacles and that the World card is about the conclusions of that King of Pentacles. Those are also dogmatic systems of beliefs of what you've held on to as truth for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's worked, right? It's worked for a long time. And there's something each one of us has held on to. This is how I do things. This is who I am. This is how you do things in the world. And we've held on to that. And whatever the reason is, but that is like a spiritual death in the sense. And it's actually making me feel like a plant in a pot that I've outgrown and I need to get a bigger pot.
I love that you settled in with the Queen of Pentacles card, because even though all this death and all this letting go is there, you're going to be protected. The Queen of Pentacles has you. I just love that thought.
I think it's a call for that part of you and for the people that are like that, even to step up and actually give that empathy, to actually have that compassion. Compassion's a really big theme here of it takes a lot to nurture someone at their core where they're feeling disconnected and lonely and isolated. And to just see that, to see them like that and say, I know it's not about me. It's about what you're going through. And maybe I can help you with that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm getting. So moving into the tail end of these last few weeks and
Please be good.
and then into the
Please
other.
be positive.
Please. Please.
Okay, so we have the Queen of Wands and the Well, which is very much like the world in this deck. Strength card, again, this is the second time I'm getting the Strength card and the second time I'm getting the Justice card. So this is the action now, okay? And with the Eight of Wands, this feels very much like the people who can hear this. It's like this. The universe has sent out an alarm, stat signal. And the people that notice the signal, the part of you that's actually, oh my God, I just heard something and I feel like I'm getting called to something. This is the place where we're recognizing that call and that truth. And that Queen of Wands is saying, yeah, I'm ready for this massive change. I'm ready to lead. I'm ready to make a huge shift in my life, in my world, and maybe even the people around me, and be not just a leader for that, but an enthusiastic, inspired change maker and disruptor in that, to actually bring about the Strength of the Justice card, to actually bring about and seize that reward.
Wow.
Right? And it's a spiritual reward. It's not, okay, here's a bag of money and you're getting handed something, like physically speaking. It is a vibrational award, because when I'm getting with this Eight of Wands with this Hangman card, it is like we are just gotten the download. And I know we've talked about this before. We're always talking about in the year about getting the software update. That's how I always feel like we're getting software updated.
Yes.
This is the update. The update is coming to completion.
Wow.
But it's only for people who are pressing the button for the update. Everyone else could stay working in the old operating system. Great, it still functions.
And listen, you said in this reading, when we got the Justice card before, you said that it's like the karmic justice. And I feel like this is the karmic, we just got it again. So that the point being that if you're actually pressing the button, all of this is going to be rewarded.
And it's not just strength, but it's spiritual awareness. The Ace of Swords very much is truth with a capital T, like I would say. Spiritual truth. The whole reading I'm seeing here now, it's like in these next few weeks, particularly with this vortex of March, it's listening to the call to jump. And then once you jump, it's actually completely changed your operating system.
I love the way you just put that. I see myself in a video game taking the leap, landing like little Super Mario Brothers and running, but like supercharged when it goes.
You're like, oh, I
love that analogy.
That's how I feel.
That's pretty awesome.
I feel like you gave us that confidence and that information, and just thank you. And we're planning on doing a check-in with everybody at the very end of the month or very beginning of April, so we can check in. In the meantime, though, this is a place for community so that we don't have to be in this alone. Please share anything that comes up over these next few weeks that relate to everything that Michelle just downloaded for us. And let's be in it together throughout. That's the whole idea of this. We're so excited.
The beauty of Michelle's messages.
It's being very open with conversation. That this whole end of that 3 weeks is like conversing, talking about it, getting out of your internal space into your external space, and having it be real and having it be true.
Love that. I love your readings, because even though you're speaking to us as a collective, I always feel like you're talking just to me.
Me too.
Well,
Me
I
too.
hope
It should
everybody
feel that
else
way.
feels that too.
Me too.
Thank
I hope everyone.
And if anyone's interested in working with Michelle, you can email her at m@mtnolan.com. And you can reach out to her, DM her within the community. That works too.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
love you. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you.
Can't wait
Love
to
you
do this
guys.
again.
Thank you.